Around the corner from the 5th precinct here in New York City's Chinatown. Now what's curious is, as you see all these police vehicles are on the sidewalk, I don't think it's an emergency because they're here every single day of the year. Now why would you park these so far away from the precinct? Why? Why not park them in front of the precinct? What would be the logical purpose to do that? Oh, this guy's even parked on the curb here too. I wonder why somebody would park on the curb. I wonder why would, that's right, it's a government employee breaking the law. That's scandalous. That one car right there is enough to arrest Mayor Bloomberg for all kinds of fucking crimes. But don't get me started on that. I'm digressing. The reason these police vehicles are not parked in front of the police station, I mean, never mind that that's a retarded vehicle. Really, how many criminals have they caught with that they couldn't have caught with a bicycle? Billions of tax dollars, gasoline, insurance, car crashes, injuries, all kinds of things caused by these stupid little fucking retarded go-karts. They won't put the cops on bikes because it's smart. That's why Bloomberg spent tons of money to put cops on Segways, even though they're slower than the average criminal running. That's how insanely psychotic our government is. And he claims, everyone says Bloomberg is the environmental mayor. He says, I'm not gonna put cops on foot, I'm not gonna put cops on bicycles because that's good for the environment. I fucking despise the environment. Actions speak louder than bullshit, people. But the reason they didn't park those in front of the precinct is because the precinct in front of the, around every precinct in the city, you'll see hundreds of cars like these parked because all the police had to drive in from Long Island. Because the mayor doesn't think that police officers should have to protect the city they live in. That gives the police incentives to not do their job. Do you understand? The police, their wife and their kids are in Long Island, 100 miles outside of the city. They have no incentive to risk their neck to protect New Yorkers from violent criminals because they're like an invading force. You understand? That's why also in front of every neighborhood where there's a precinct, the police park completely like animals and savages wherever they want. They're an invading force. The mayor, the newspapers, everyone said that's great. It's been proven to be bad consistently, and no one cares about truth. We're still right around the corner. Look at this. You see those white stripes? That means you don't park there. Government employees call police officers violating the law. Why would police officers violate the law in broad daylight? Look at this on-ramp to the bridge. Those both vehicles owned by police officers. This vehicle is somewhat illegally parked. You know why? Because it's a law enforcement agent's car, and he doesn't have to obey the laws because he's a cop, which means he is automatically a criminal. And every news media outlet, left wing and right wing, says the fact that we have 38,000 criminals on our police force equals the finest. These vehicles are illegally parked. At least they got chastised, I think, for being on the sidewalk too often. These vehicles are all illegally parked because they're owned by criminals. Look at that. You just saw a cop run a red light. I wasn't even following a cop. I have to go grocery shopping, but I have the video camera with me. I saw this cop and another cop run a bunch of red lights. Now, by law, they can't run a red light because they fucking feel like it. Look at, I mean, I can't even film all these scandals. Look at all the graffiti on the streets. Why do cops, if they only allowed to run a red light if it's an emergency, their lights and sirens should be on when they're running a red light. Why wasn't his lights on? Why do you think? Because cop is a euphemism for criminal. It has almost never meant anything other than criminal. We knew in the 1800s all of our police were criminals. We knew in the 1900s that all of our police were criminals. They got caught in hundreds of millions of scandals. Hundreds of thousands of police officers have been arrested. And that's only when it's lucky and they get caught and they can't cover it up. These brand new streets are all graffitied up. They're all going to be cut. This street was repaved not long ago. It's about to be sliced and diced and sliced and diced. They can't say it's an emergency because if it's an emergency, they'd be already cutting here. They've marked it up to destroy a freshly repaved street at a cost of hundreds of millions of tax dollars a year here in New York City, one of the most corrupt cities on planet Earth. We're approaching another precinct just to see, the 7th precinct, just to see if there's any truth to the fact that the police don't like to obey the laws. The fact that these cars are parked diagonally on a street this small is actually most likely a federal violation. There are federal laws about sidewalk access and widths of sidewalks and widths of streets. But don't get me started. That vehicle slightly parked illegally. That vehicle parked slightly illegally. Who would break the law in front of a police station? Somebody has to have huge cojones to take on the finest of New York, right? Right? Look at all these white police cars. That's scandalous. Nobody reads between the lines. The fact that there are this many empty police vehicles is scandalous. It means there was some kind of contracting scam. Somebody made a lot of money off of selling police cars to the police department. They don't use half of them. Okay? Look at that. That's... If it was an emergency, he could park there, but he's in front of the precinct. It's not a fucking emergency. He's just parked illegally, 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 parked illegally. How did I find 50 crimes in front of a police station? How? Because the police department is the criminal. Look at that truck on the sidewalk. Illegal. All illegal. The NYPD are non-stop criminals 365 days a fucking year.